So in my previous video titled Sex, Sex and More Sex, I had expressed my desire to come online and do a follow-up video that could stay on my timeline as opposed to the IG live I had done sometime last year, addressing some of the comments and issues I knew would come up, rightfully so. Please understand, I did that video knowing full well that there was going to be pushback, knowing full well that people would be confused, they would be irritated, disappointed, feel like, wow, this girl is really hypocritical. They would have perhaps a mixture of emotions. I understood it. I understood it full well. I understood it the moment it became abundantly clear to me throughout my journey that I was going to have to come back and use this very platform that I used in a different way a few years ago to address whatever it was I did, and to come back and say, that's not the woman I am today. In fact, I've since discovered X, Y, Z. I knew it the moment I went through my process of being humbled incredibly by God, and we'll get into it. I knew it the moment I picked up the phone and I called my older sister sometime last year and said, you know, it's becoming abundantly clear that this is the direction in which God is taking me, and I feel as though he's calling me to do X, Y, Z, and she just said, prepare yourself. So I knew it. I expected it. And again, rightfully so, because that video was very much about the woman I used to be. I expected it, I expected it, I expected it. So let's get into it. For those of you who are not familiar with my brand, who perhaps only started following me after the Sex, Sex and More Sex video, or a couple of months ago, or as of late, whatever it is, let me give you context. I used to have a brand, and this particular brand was very hypersexual, very hypersexual. I was a working plus size model. I was a body positive activist and clothing designer, other things. And part of my brand was swimwear, lingerie, and I overexposed my body. There's no other way to say it. I take full responsibility. I overexposed my body, and it was so easy to do it. It was so easy. I was not only being paid by other brands. I mean, for goodness sakes, there was a picture of me in swimwear in a window display at a big shop in a big mall here in SA, actually nationwide. I was being paid by brands to come through and do editorials, and I was in magazines and this, that, and the other. I built this brand on me pretty much being half naked. Please understand, when I started, not that this excuses it, but let me be clear, seeing that we're being transparent. When I started it, I never started it wanting to be half naked because I was bored and I felt like, oh my goodness, you know, this is the way and this is the type of lifestyle I want to get into. No, that is the truth. I didn't start that way. I started wanting to really be a voice in the plus size community. I wanted to make women love their bodies. I wanted to make a stand against what I still think to be double standards when it comes to body types, what I still think to be sad, that bigger women or bigger people, not just women, are seen a certain way, treated a certain way, when in actuality, we're different. And it's a good thing that we're different. So I started this brand wanting to just make a difference. And then it started going left. It started going so far left. I'll never forget. My dad called me the one day, and I went over to his house, and he said to me, you know, I've heard things about your social media page, and I'm just not going to go onto your page. Let the birds fly over. They always make so much noise. I've heard certain things about your social media page, and I'm not going to go on because I think he was just too devastated and afraid to have a look. But I want you to know that if you carry on this way in your life, these are going to be the consequences. And he listed them. And foolish, being so foolish and typical of the foolishness of young people, I ignored him, thinking I knew better, thinking I knew everything. And my goodness, was he right? And my goodness, how I wish I could tell him, Daddy, you were so right. You were so right, and I was wrong, and I should have just listened. So yes, here I was. I built this hypersexual brand, and I was living my life. Everything was about my career, it growing, new opportunities, trying to be a bigger voice for the community, this, that, and the other. Oh, and of course, then getting so hyped and so into the attention I was getting from it. Yes, that was part of it. And the reason why I started the way I did was I wanted you guys to understand it's not how I started. I started with very sincere intentions, but it started to change. It started to change, and it just got out of control. And then about 4 years ago, close to 4 years ago, my world came crashing down. My world came crashing down. Out of nowhere, my dad passed away. And this is not about sympathy, we're just putting facts here. He passed away, and it brought so much perspective, so much perspective. It forced me to stop and to really have a look at my life. Initially, when he passed away, I tried to cover my pain, my confusion, my anger, my inconsolable grief with more work and more work and more work, but it caught up with me. And one day I had a full-on breakdown. I collapsed, and I was forced to start dealing with what had happened. I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a point where I took a couple of months, I think about 8 months off social media, specifically Instagram, actually, about 8 months off. No, I was not sitting on some yacht enjoying caviar and champagne. I was coming face to face, head to feet, my head on the floor at Jesus's feet. To deal with, to look at the woman I had become. This journey wasn't one day I woke up and I thought, oh, Lala, this was wrong. No, it's been a process. It's been a process, and I waited over 2 years to really start speaking about it and what I'd started to learn, because I wanted to understand it more and be sure of what I was saying, understanding full well how many people along the way I had influenced. I had to come face to face with this reality. The woman I thought I was not. I was the immoral woman, sexually immoral woman I was speaking about in the previous video. I was the woman living in sexual sin. There's no way else to say it. I was that woman. And it was a devastating, very uncomfortable reality and truth to have to face up to. I went through the most. Counseling, deliverance. I'll share that in the other video, the next video I do. Deliverance, immersing myself in church, involving myself in a lot more church conferences and workshops, rather, having to remove myself from certain environments, distance myself from certain people, not just because they were bad for me, but because I was bad for them. Please understand, I didn't wake up one day and stop loving these people. No. It just became clear to me that in order for my life to change, in order for me to do better, I had to step away from other things. While God was doing a work in me, I had to step away and step towards Him. It's been the most uncomfortable, challenging period in my life. So for those of you in my comment section, which again I get, saying things like, who are you to talk? You were out here walking around on these social media streets in G-strings, overexposing your body. So who are you to say all of these things? First of all, I'm here to say, actually, there's more. In my private life, I did worse. So while you speak about me like you fully know me, I'm here to admit it was worse than that, number one. Number two, surely that's exactly what makes me the right person to speak on it. The fact that I was living an immoral life. I was an immoral woman. I'm not speaking about things that I've read about or I've watched YouTube videos on, or I've just thought, this would make for good content. I'm speaking about my personal journey. And the truth of the matter is, this wouldn't have gone in my favor anyway. It would never have gone, because if I, towards the end of my life, for example, had said something like, oh, I was wrong, or, after becoming a mother, people would have turned around and said, surely you should have said something to all those people you misled. If I had been a woman who had never overexposed my body, in fact, always had my hair covered, wore dresses down to my ankles, people still would have had something to say. Don't judge us. You've never walked in our shoes. Who are you to say? The truth of the matter is, this conversation is uncomfortable, and it would have been met with pushback anyway because of the fact that it goes against what's popular. It goes against what people have made their norm. It goes against people's comfort zone. It goes against the woman or the person people think they are versus who they really are. And it's an uncomfortable reality check. That's what it is. It is a deeply uncomfortable reality check. I know, again, because I went through it. I'm still going through it. And I'm not here to cast judgment. How can I? How can I cast any judgment when, again, I was that woman? I was absolutely that woman. And although I didn't do some of the things that I mentioned in that video, it still doesn't change the fact that I was living an immoral life. I'm not here to judge. I'm simply here as somebody who has seen the consequences, who's having to deal with them to this day, who went through deliverance and saw things that shocked me, will shock you if I were to repeat, to say, please just be careful. This is what I have learned since. Please just be aware. That's it. That's it, that's it, that's it. That's why I am here. The truth is, I never asked anybody's permission or waited for anybody to co-sign me walking around again these social media streets half naked. I most certainly am not going to wait for anybody's permission or anybody to co-sign me for me to use my voice to say, I've grown up, I've learned my lesson, I'm still having to undo a lot of the things that I did. And if I can help even just one person by saying, go back, Sisi, go back. Not even just Sisi, go back, guys, men, because this applies to you too. Go back. It's not worth it. The things on the other side are a mess. Go back. I'll do it. I will absolutely do it. And I'm honored to do it. You know why? Because the reason I'm sitting here today as the woman I am is because of God. And because of his love and his mercy. Again, I didn't go and vacate on some private yacht. No. I had to repent. My life had to do a complete 180. I had to, oh my gosh, when they talk about the fiery furnace, I had to go through the fiery furnace. God is still refining me. He's still working on me. He's still taking things out of me, putting things into me. I have cried. Sorry. I'm not laughing because it's a joke. I just wish people understood how I didn't come here lightly. This is not a light matter. It's not. Anyway. I'm here to share my testimony. I'm here to tell you about the woman I once was and show you the woman I am today in hopes that it will help, as I said before, even one person change their lives around through God, through his mercy, through his strength, through his assistance. Because let me tell you something, he has greatly humbled me. He has greatly humbled me. And when God moves, he moves in majesty. You know it's him. He has a way of signing his work off. When he calls, you are all too compelled, all too honored that he would even call, that you cannot help but say yes. And that's what I did. I said yes. And through his work in me, he's humbled me so much so to say that very platform that you misuse, that very voice you misuse, because I know that about myself. He's given me a strong voice. That very, very thing I put inside of you, that gift that you misused, you need to go back, humble yourself, and acknowledge that you were wrong, and use that very platform to right those mistakes. Use that very platform to teach people what I'm going to tell you. So again, I get it. I get how people would be uncomfortable. I get how people would think, I get it. That being said, this is the woman I am now. And there's going to be more of this type of content. So sit back and enjoy. And here comes part 2 of sex, and more sex. The spiritual consequences.